welcome back to a new episode. My brain is in all directions. I'm also dealing with so many ideas, but also a lack of creativity. As you can hear, a lot of duality, a lot of contradictions, a lot of mess, a lot of chaos internally. It's hard to describe because it's a feeling of confusion, feeling a bit stuck, like you don't really know which direction to take, but you have a strong fire. You just don't know where to orient this fire. I don't really know what is going to be the theme of this episode because my intention today is to follow the inspiration. And I didn't feel inspired. I know you're going to be like, Lika, what the fuck? Are you okay? And yes, I am. I think so. But my point here is my process when it comes to creativity. I've always felt like I was a very creative person. I never really had moments of complete lack of creativity. I only had to go outside or have a conversation with someone and I would get inspired, motivated, and everything triggers a deep thought, a deep reflection inside of me. That's why I love to share my thoughts, reflections, learnings, that everything that goes on in my head, in my brain, in myself on this podcast. But I had the longest time with not so much creativity, I would say a bit before I got pregnant, all the way until now. Sometimes it comes back a little bit, but it's not the big fire that it used to be. So I guess that's going to be the theme. But the reason why I want to approach the podcast in this way of just pressing play and delivering what's in my heart is because that is my creative process and I want to trust myself more. So I think I'm going to talk about, yes, the creative process today, but also one of my intention for 2025 is to truly listen to myself. So yes, I'm going to talk a lot about myself in this podcast, but my intention is obviously for you to feel heard and seen if you're also going through that, to maybe place some words onto something that we may experience as a collective, and maybe offering some perspective shifts or exercises or practices or anything of value for us to empower ourselves. That's always the intention of the podcast, is to find more freedom, liberation, power, pleasure, and fulfillment by working on ourselves. This is a place of personal development, right? I need to chill. I feel this pressure in my heart to produce something of value, something great, something impactful, something professional. That's also one of my intentions for 2025, outside of the discipline to provide an episode every Friday for you. It's also to create a more professional look of my podcast and also to talk less about my personal life. Said the girl who just said this podcast, I'm going to talk a lot about myself. No, what I mean by that is this podcast has been an open diary and I've shared all the things that just passed through me as it did. I was in the deep reflection of, should I delete past episodes that I don't resonate with? I feel like I've changed and grown and I disagree with a lot of things that I shared in this podcast now. And then a conflict inside of me was, one of my value is also to accept, embrace who we are in all facets, including the past facets of us. We talk a lot about embracing our shadows and what's going on right now and all the parts of ourselves, which, oh my God, yes, this work is important. But what we tend to forget is embracing also past version of us. Because it's going to sound so cliche, so boring, but yeah, the past is what makes us today. I don't know about you, but personally I have this tendency to be like, oh, I know so much more now, I'm better now, I'm a better person, because I do so much personal development work. When I have a new insights or I'm more compassionate, more understanding, when I gain some piece of wisdom from my life experiences and I feel more at peace with myself, then I feel that I'm better than the past version of me. It creates this rejection. So even though it's not a facet of my current self anymore, it's still part of my story. And I think, again, it's important to embrace every facet of ourselves. I guess that was a parenthesis or a tangent or just the crazy mess that is in my brain today. Again, talking also about this radical acceptance, something that I preach in every single of my episode. That's what I'm trying to embody right now. Embracing where I'm at and also trusting myself. So that's one point that I wanted to tell talk about in this episode embracing who we are. Embracing where we are is the only way that we can truly move forward and get unstuck. All of that sounds very fluffy. It sounds like we don't even know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to try to be more precise and to simplify my language so that it actually means something to us. I think for that, I will go back to the example of the creative process. Again, tell me if that resonates with you, but I have spent a lot of time listening to other people, and I'm trying each and every day to embody more and more and more of my true self, of my own leadership, my ability to lead myself, to trust myself, trust my instinct, trust what feels right for me, and to create the gap necessary between who I am, what I believe in, and the outside world. What I see every day on Instagram, what my parents are telling me, what my partner is thinking and his values and belief system, what my best friend that I have on the phone every day is telling me, what I have internalized from school, the teachers, the people, what I have internalized from just the outside world that I can be in contact with every day, and what I think should be the way. And so in order to do that, I have to really go and meet myself. It has been a challenging process to go and meet myself during my pregnancy. I think my pregnancy is just one example, but you don't have to go through pregnancy to understand this feeling that sometimes we go through phases in our lives where we don't really feel our best. We don't really feel empowered. We don't really feel like we're moving in the right direction, and we are not really feeling secure about ourselves and proud of ourselves. That was me during most of my pregnancy. That's also what led me to a lack of creativity and relying even more on other people's opinions or thoughts or ways of doing basically everybody else's strategy. I apologize already for all the tensions. Again, my brain is not the clearest, but I would invite anyone of my community, of my clients, of my best friends to show up anyway, because they have a message to share. And even if it's messy, to share it. So again, leading myself, being of integrity with what I believe in and embodying that myself, the heart of the message that I'm trying to pass down today to experience with you. Can we please listen to ourselves more? I think that's the heart of the message, is listening. What vibrates inside of our being and the body? The body is such a good indicator. I know how I function and how when something feels right, there is no question. I'm not in my head. My body just feels a sense of peace and ease and relaxation in my muscles. My belly, that is very often tense with stress and passion and everything, my belly is relaxed. And there is a sense of alignment, a physical alignment, as if I had a thread or a beam of light coming from above all the way down to my spine and to the earth. That's how it feels when I'm listening to myself and I know something is right for me, and I'm courageous, brave enough to take that belief and to follow that, even if everything that I've heard outside is telling me that it's not the right way to do it. For example, with the creative process or the way I run my business, this is the place that I'm working on right now. As you know, most of my creative process was directed into creating a baby inside of me for the duration of the pregnancy. Now my daughter is almost 3 months old, and I feel creative again when it comes to my company, the programs that I want to offer, the content that I want to share, whether my podcast on my Instagram or whatever. And I'm trying to find my voice again. I felt like I found it and then I lost it. And what a wonderful journey. Maybe that's you too. Maybe you found your voice, your way, your path, something that truly resonated with you. You felt in integrity, in alignment, full of creativity, full of passion, with this burning fire inside of you. And now everything is different. it and it feels a bit more flat, confusing, and not so amazing anymore. But you're not giving up. You're still standing strong and trying to find a way, trying to find the solutions and always growing. This is something I help. And I know if you're listening to this podcast, you must share this value as well, that we want to grow. We want to explore what's going on in our psyche, in our mindset, in our bodies, to find the next level, to be more of our potential and to move always in that direction. So listening to ourselves, what does that mean? How does that look like? Well, I believe it's going to be looking different for everybody, first of all. And also it's going to be looking different depending on the phase of our life that we're in. As I was sharing before, during my pregnancy, I didn't feel really empowered. I didn't feel radiant and beautiful and powerful. I felt super confused and like a shadow of my own self. I embodied all the qualities that I don't like about myself, and it was hard to find the qualities that I used to like within myself. I was very tense, irritable, and confused. I didn't know what this experience was about. So I relied a lot in the beginning on other people's opinion. And then I realized it just feels awful. And I felt nauseous, not just physically nauseous, especially in the first trimester, if you know, you know, but I felt nauseous, like the entire environment around me. Nothing felt like it was me, that it resonated with my deepest value. And it felt like I was on the way to live a life that was not me, that was not aligned with my values, my beliefs, what I love, what I want, what I desire, what I want to experience, what makes me feel good, what makes me, what brings me joy and pleasure, until I finally got back to a little bit of my power. And I was like, no. I'm going to do my thing. I think that has been a thread. Something that I always come back to in my life is how can I live more in authenticity with my value. A little bit of backstory why it's complicated for me now. It's because I'm back home. It's been 2 years, more than 2 years now, that I'm back in my hometown in France. It's a small country. France is not a small country, but it's a small city, a small town, and it's populated with old, white, mostly privileged people. So you can imagine that the mindset is very closed. It's a very closed mindset, a very restrictive mindset, a very opinionated too, because we're French, and I love that about us. But it's not open, it's not welcoming, it's not diverse. It's hard for me because it goes against everything that I believe in, and I feel in the position of the little girl that I used to be. I feel in the position of the little girl that I was in school, and I felt like I was an alien, that nobody will ever understand me. All the things that I valued, I couldn't even name them, compassion and love and freedom and having room for our emotions, the importance of spirituality. I couldn't even name that because I didn't have any examples of a world where that exists. But I could feel it inside of me. I could feel the how inadequate I felt. I could feel the insecurities that I was in because I was not fitting in. Because every time I tried to fit in to nourish my need for connection and community, I just felt awful. It didn't feel like me. I felt like I was playing a role from an early age. And then I discovered yoga. And for the first time, I was like, wow, someone is naming, because I discovered yoga not only through the physical practice, but also the philosophy of yoga. That's how I was introduced to yoga. I had the full spectrum, which was freaking amazing and changed my life. And that's also why later I became a yoga teacher. That was my entry point. I feel like at the same time, I also discovered entrepreneurship. That was also my entry point. So, mindset work, entrepreneurial mindset, and yoga together. And finally, I was in contact with another example, an environment where mindset had a huge importance. Emotional intelligence had an important place. The connection between the mind, the spirit, and the body was important too. And I feel like my mission throughout my life was to gather or to awaken people to this truth, to fight what I've seen in my family and what I still see in my family right now, in my partner's family. Oh my God, it's like I want to fight. I have this rebellion inside of me of like, no, but you're wrong in many aspects. This mindset is problematic topic, as you can imagine, but I'm not talking about what I'm actually doing in the real life. I'm talking about a feeling that I have in my body, a sort of a rebellion of like, why don't they place value on the more subtle things, the deeper things in life? Why they don't want to have conversations that are deep and vulnerable, and we talk about the real things in life, your grief, your success, what you're trying to achieve for yourself, and they're just talking about how many people was at the market in the morning. Like, I don't give a shit. Those surface levels conversations felt so hard on me. So hard, because in my mind, I'm always thinking about something deeper. And I'm not saying it's bad. Sometimes I love to be in a more surface level conversation. I love to talk about my nails to my best friends. Yeah, I don't know why, but somehow I have an obsession with my nails. I love going to the nail salon and have beautiful nails. Oh my God, I can talk about my hair too. I love the beautiful things in life. I can be very superficial too. And again, it's an invitation to embrace every single aspect of who we are. But I have a deep need for depth, for something profound, transformative, to go and meet myself and to understand why I came here. I personally believe we didn't came here as souls and mystical beings that we are to just come here, do a job that we hate, and then enjoy a little bit on the weekends, and then enjoy a little bit on holidays, and then enjoy a little bit on retirements if we make our way through retirements, and that's it. I don't believe in that. Everything that goes against that, which is most of what I'm surrounded with, that place a lot of value on hard work, status, money, and superficial things. Not even the superficial things that I love, not a lot of people are talking about their nails enough. No, but seriously, that is frustrating me. I feel so different. It makes me feel so lonely. I think that's why I love to have the podcast, is because I can connect with people outside of this mindset. I want to gather around those values, around people who also are stuck in an environment, a family, close friends, and there is this lack of depth that they want to talk about the deeper things in life. They want to do the work. They want to go and explore what's in their mind and bodies and have transcendental experiences and talk about love and emotions and growth and goals and all the things that I'm passionate about too. As I was saying, the environment plays a big role, and I'm back to this environment right now, which makes it super, super difficult to stay connected to my beliefs, because most of my beliefs are different, divergent. I'm not sure you can say that. I think that's like more of a mental problem, but maybe I am too. No, I meant it's very different from this circle, from most people that I'm in contact with, except for social media that I scroll every day. But, except for that, I'm not in touch with a lot of similar mindset people right now. I was living a different life when I was in Mexico, for example. I was surrounded with entrepreneurs and spiritual people, and even in general, Mexican people were more connected to the earth and nature and the deeper things in a way. Not everyone, obviously, but it was easier for me back then to stay connected to my beliefs and my values. Harder to do it here. It requires a lot more courage and a lot more listening and a lot more trust. That's why trusting myself is one of my big direction for 2025. And I was mentioning my business, for example, the story of my company, I started as a yoga teacher because I believed in the connection with the mind, body, spirit, loved yoga. Yoga changed my life. Meditation changed my life and who I am. And I really wanted to share, because everything that is transforming me for the better, I want to share it. I can't keep it for myself. So I started with yoga, but being a yoga teacher, it felt very limiting. I was always saying, don't call me a yoga teacher, because I'm so much more. I didn't really know what I was, but I knew I wanted to provide more. During my yoga classes, I wanted people to feel connected to some energies, or we were connecting with the moon, or some other, journal prompts and mindset development. I wanted to bring more than just doing postures. I wanted to also have a lot of fun, which was not so present in most yoga classes that I followed. I wanted fun and depth. That's something that I'm also super passionate about. It's my ability to go super freaking deep. go into very esoteric, spiritual, deep, emotional things, and to come out of it with a lot of light, and light as in not light the light, but lightness and humor, and to bring people with me. So my classes were like this, and in a way I really miss teaching yoga in this way and gathering people around those values and this energy, because I knew they were very different, and I haven't really found any other teacher that teaches in this way, which is the beauty of yoga. You're going to experience a different yoga depending on your teacher. Anyway, started as yoga, then I found coaching. Coaching helped me to squeeze a 5-year plan into a 2 weeks plan that was completely life-changing for me. I had a big goal 5 years from where I was with my coach. I made it happen in 2 weeks time, and that was to me the biggest mind blown that I've ever experienced. I discovered that most of my life I've been coaching people anyway. I remember in school, people would bring their friends that I didn't even know to get especially relationship advice. I would coach people and give advice and talk about things. So I realized I was coaching my whole life. I just made it professional. I integrated that to my career. I didn't knew anything about business, which is very interesting too, because I did a business school, but I think I was not really resonating with the way I was taught business, communication, marketing, leadership. Like some of the classes were life changing. I actually discovered yoga through my business school, which is the funny anecdote, because I had this class called Yoga and Management, and that was my introduction to yoga. That's why we were taught the philosophy of yoga behind it. That's where my whole life changed forever. First time I meditated, that was wow. But even though I did a business school, I felt like I didn't know anything about running a business, especially in the early stages. I was teaching yoga for $6 an hour as a private class. I don't know if you realize that, but that's very ridiculous because I was haunted. I want to say haunted by so many insecurities. I had a lot to work on when it came to my worthiness, to my relationship with money, my relationship with success, like having goals and following them. And coaching really helped me, and I knew I wanted to become a coach myself. So I integrated those two things. But as I didn't know much about growing a business, it was me trying to figure it out through learning and different mentors and different trainings and different things that I followed. I found more and more of my power, of my voice. My business finally started to pick up. I felt super empowered in my career because I was finally doing something that I love, that I believe in, and all I had to do was to be fully connected to my creativity and my creative process. Haha, coming back full circle. There is a reason why this podcast is called Full Circle. So coming back full circle, I really did start to trust myself, my instinct, my power, how I wanted to do things. I didn't had a lot of strategy behind it. But what happened is that after a while, my business stopped. By that, I mean, I didn't receive as much interest in my work as I used to. I was not invited to speak on events or other people's programs anymore. I didn't make any money because no clients were coming in the business. Because something is not working, I have this entrepreneurial mindset of like, okay, let me try different things. I need to evolve. I need to develop, to develop, and I need to grow. So I started to learn things. I started to hire business coaches. I started to follow more business coaching. I basically said the same thing twice, but stay with me. So I wanted to grow. I wanted to develop. I wanted to learn. And I wanted to obviously overcome the challenge that was in front of me. And the challenge was, my God, my business is not functioning the way I want. And it took me years to own the part of myself that was super selfish. Like, I want this business to work for me and my little self and my little interest. I want to make money. I had to own my greediness. Like, oh my God, yes, I want money. I want money for me. And I want money to buy things that I love and to buy things that my friends and family, they love, and to expand. I want to travel and I want luxury. Then I also want to develop my business for more not glorified, how do you say, more glamour. I don't want to say glamour, but more valuable things to the eyes of society, which is to serve people. I have a message and I have strong values and things that I believe in. And I've learned and grown so much and I have so much to share. And I was very frustrated with the fact that I couldn't share it to anyone anymore. anymore. So I started to focus heavily on business strategy and what to do and what funnels and what organization. And it felt very exciting too, because I love entrepreneurship. I love talking business. I love talking growth. And it was just a little bit tricky to find the right people to listen to, because again, I feel like I didn't have any knowledge, because by myself, things were not working out the way I wanted. I was faced with a block, a challenge. So I relied on learning from others who had made it, who were successful and inspiring to me. When I listen to some people, I'm like, oh my God, this is genius. This is such a good idea. This person is a business genius because I want to buy their products. How did they do it? How did they gather the community of people around their values, around their products, around their vision? And that's something that I want for myself too. So I was very excited to learn a lot of things. But what I was struggled with was finding people who also resonated with doing it in a very integrous, authentic way. But that was also their vision of authenticity. That was their authenticity. And it didn't help me in believing in myself, in my own business genius, and my own genius in my field, my own abilities. And I felt like I lost a little bit of power, and I lost a lot of power and dwelled into my insecurities so deeply because of the lack of results for an extended period of time. And because I was faced with that, it came with a lot of shame. Shame is something terrible and wonderful because it's so protective that you won't be able to access the things that you need to work on, the things that you need to liberate yourself from, if you liberate yourself from shame. At the moment, I'm like, okay, I failed. I'm not making any money. I don't have any clients. And I'm still trying to prove that I'm a good coach, that you should hire me, that my programs are good. As soon as you own all of it and shame doesn't have a grip on you anymore, progress, growth, power feels very empowering and very good. It's knowing why we do things as well, and knowing that we can just continue on the right path. Coming back to listening to ourselves. Until very recently, I was still stuck in a belief that I have, and something that I've said to so many people. People were asking me why your business is not working. And I was telling them, well, I don't know. I tried everything. I tried, at some point I even did TikTok, which I really didn't resonate with, but I did it anyway. I started, building funnels and changing the way I talk on social media. I started to follow so many other people's strategies, trendy stuff. Like I tried so many different things, whether it came to my marketing and my communication or the organization within my business behind the scenes. I changed so many things, tried different things. I rebuilt a website, tried to work on my SEO. I'm not even going to list everything that I've done because it's been 2 years of just learning and growing and trying different strategies, but none of them were truly my strategy. And it's normal. It's part of the process. I didn't feel like I had any sort of strategy before, and I felt like if I wanted to bring my business to the place that I want to, which is impacting a lot of people, then I needed to have a more structured, organized business with very specific processes within it. I'm not gonna bore the hell out of you with all this technical stuff, but I felt like I needed that, and simultaneously got me further away from my own creative process. So many people out there are going to tell you what to do to enhance your creativity. And I could be doing the same in this podcast, but I'm going to spare you that because I'm sure other people are talking much better about that than me. But what I want to invite you in, the invitation, the goal of this podcast is to reinforce trusting ourselves and trusting our guts. As I was saying before, as of very recently, I still applied strategies that were not my own and felt lost in the chaos and the opinions of others. Until, guess what? There were this woman online. She's French too. And she was a huge trigger. As my friends, as my boyfriend, I developed this almost obsessive. It was obviously not obsessive, but when I dive into something, I dive head first and it becomes my whole world for a while. So I have phases like that. So all I could talk about was this woman that I see online. And guess what? She had the business of my dream. And you're probably familiar with comparing yourself online to other people. You're probably familiar with being very envious, jealous of someone that has what you want, someone that is traveling, earning a lot of money, having a lot of people and followers, or whatever it is. We are familiar with comparison and envy. I feel like it's time that we own it and we just know it's normal and it's not a big deal. But for a reason that I ignored for a long time, this specific girl was triggering something else in me. And I knew people were telling me, oh my God, it's jealousy because she has the things that you want. And I was like, yeah, there is this. I'm envious of the way she runs her business and the results that she has in terms of, oh my God, everything she creates is so beautiful. And as you know, I love beauty. I'm a Libra. I love everything aesthetic. I love everything beautiful. And her aesthetic and her branding was so pretty. I wanted something so pretty and I didn't have the finances or the skills to make it happen. I wanted to have like beautiful videos with music and voiceover and beautiful pictures. The branding is so perfect and so beautiful, and I wanted that for myself, so I knew that was a big trigger. But I thought there was something underneath because the trigger was much bigger than that. Was bigger than envy, bigger than comparison. I was like, what is it? So guess what? This woman that was triggering me, and I was, because she was triggering me so much, judging her quite a lot because I was like, my French accent, this person, oh la la, the way she's doing things, it's n'importe quoi. Okay, but then I decided to be a grown-up about it, to put my ego aside and to recognize, okay, there is a trigger, let me explore it. I signed up for one of her things, one of her offers. Even still have a little bit of shame saying it, just because I'm like, I can't believe I criticized this person for a long time. She triggered the hell out of me and I signed up for one of her things. But I think this is what I love about myself, is that most people won't do this. Most people will just feel triggered and they will be judging and criticizing and projecting on other people instead of looking within themselves why they're triggered by this person, why this person is achieving or doing that they're not allowing themselves to do and therefore are being triggered. What is it in me that I need to work on? So love that about myself. And what I found out, and I finally could pinpoint a trigger that I had for years. I'm telling you, years, that I'm both in admiration, also very judgmental and very triggered by this person. And I finally knew what it was. And it was the fact that she was running her business the way I wanted to run my business, which is truly trusting herself and doing things her way. And yeah, it sounds very simple like this and very primal, but let me explain. Let me go deeper into that. The way she was running her business was connected with her intuition. And everything that she preached and shared in that workshop that I followed from her is to invite you into your leadership and to do the same. Let me give you an example. Where everybody is telling you if you want a successful business, you need to niche down, to know your ideal clients, and all this structure in the business. She was not functioning this way. But guess what? When I started my business and I trusted myself and I felt empowered, I was trusting myself, my guts, and my creative process, the way I was creating offers, the way I was selling offers, the way I was functioning in my business. Everything was intuitive, and I relied on my entrepreneurial wisdom, my business genius wisdom. That was very different from everything that I've learned outside from people that are super successful, that have shitloads of money, shitloads of results for their clients. I mean, they're legit. I'm not saying that what I've learned from other people is bullshit. Those strategies work for a lot of people, but doing it my way was the missing piece. And I have an entrepreneur friend that I talk to almost every day, my friend Pei. She's incredible. She has an amazing business, an amazing product, but she's been struggling with just her processes and organization and having the results that she wants to. We started to exchange around that, and we both figured that the missing piece was really learning so much from other people and not following our own strategy. That's why the trigger was so real. It's because I was confronted with what would have happened if I trusted myself along the way. I'm very curious and I would never know. I'm not saying I have any regrets because honestly, I've learned so much, and now this is the moment where, you learn so much. It's just like in your spiritual journey, in your personal development journey, you learn a bunch of things. You're so excited about learning new things. And then you need to unlearn a lot of things to come back to yourself, to come back to your truth, to come back to what's unique about you. It's the same here. It's just applied to business. I've learned so much. I've explored so many things that are possible. I've seen so many things. I've changed my opinions about things. And now I'm in the process of unlearning everything and trusting myself, trusting that everything that I do is enough, everything that I do is perfect for my kind of people, and I still get to learn, grow, and I will still learn every day. I love to be a student, and I think you have to be humble enough to put yourself in that position of constant learning, constant growth, learning where you're not good at, and even if you're good at something, being open, having an open mindset to keep learning and to keep growing. That is something that I for sure will continue to do. Why? Knowing what I know and knowing that if I follow me, 100% me, when it comes to business, when it comes to my personal life, when it comes to raising my daughter, when it comes to how I want to train my body, like everything in my life, the more I listen to me, the more fulfilling my life would be, because it's going to be a reflection of my true self, my nature, and that is going to create a life that is a lot more powerful, embodied, pleasurable, fulfilling. And that's my invitation for you too. So if you have to take away anything from this episode, is where in your life are you still listening to other people, whether consciously or unconsciously? Maybe it's something you have internalized that is running in the back of your head, but it's not you. It's not truly what you want, what you believe in, what you value. It's not truly what's important for you, but you're still listening and being influenced by it. Where in your life are you more listening to other people, your environment, those internalized beliefs, more than you listen to yourself, your heart, your gut, your intuition, everything that feels right? That's a question that I think it's important to constantly ask ourselves. It's an ongoing journey. It's not like, oh, one day you listen to yourself and you're gonna listen to yourself all the time. No, because we are bombarded with so much opinions, so much strategies, and it's not only applicable to business, it's something that applies everywhere. Everyone has a strategy when it comes to their food, their diet, and they're telling you, you have to do this, you have to do that. We're so disconnected from what is true to me, what works for my body, what feels good for my body. For example, everyone is telling you that breakfast is super important. Like, I don't eat breakfast and that feels good. And people are going to tell you, oh yeah, but blah, 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 blah. Yes, okay, cool. Can I stand in my power knowing that what I know from the experience of my body is stronger than what you can read in a book from this expert? Yeah, that's terrifying, right? Or can I run my business doing exactly what I want to do, the way I want to do it? Parenthesis here, it doesn't mean you're gonna always do things you love. You're constantly in business. You have to do things you don't like to do, but you know what I mean? Or when it comes to your relationships. We have been sold this pattern or this, how do you say that? This example that we need to follow is the same for everyone. No, relationships are complex. When it comes to your personal development, maybe people are telling you to do things this way and you feel so weird doing it your own way. You're like, can I actually do it my own way? Yes. This episode is yes. Trust yourself more and more and more and more. Follow your own path, the things that truly vibrates with the truth of who we are, and something that your body is at ease. You know it's right for you. You know it's right. You know it feels in alignment. It feels good. It feels pleasurable. It feels right at this point, right in the middle. It's not too much or too little. It's not this or that. It's just you, and it's unique. I hope you liked this episode. If you did, you can send it to your friends or write a review. That also helps the podcast so much. And I love being in this space with you. I see you next Friday. And in the meantime, have a very good week.